You want to learn Chinese but you don't know how to do it. You tried but you didn't get the results you wanted. This video will help you to learn Chinese in a more effective way. I am Carlos Sentís. I'm the founder and CEO of Conquai and the World Influencer Alliance, and welcome to our channel. China has become one of the world's most important superpowers. It can be your client, your provider, your investor, or your competition. But no matter what, China is going to affect you. It is crucial for us to understand what goes on in China and ideally to learn the language so we can communicate with them. I have been working in the Chinese market for more than 7 years. My wife is Chinese, my team is Chinese, I work for the Chinese government, Chinese state-owned companies, private companies. I have done so many different projects in China, and I have to tell you, after learning for more than 2 years and 7 years of experience with the Chinese language, I have a very clear strategy on what it would be the best way to learn Chinese. The first thing that we need to know is that you do not need to live in China to learn Chinese, and you don't need to have a Chinese girlfriend to learn Chinese. Obviously, it's going to help you to have that kind of environment, but it's not necessary. The most important thing is that you learn as much as you can, and you use it, and you feel comfortable using it, so you can actually communicate in that language. Second, you need to be absolutely aware of what you're trying to achieve with the language. It is not the same if you're learning Chinese for the culture, or if you're trying to do business with Chinese. That will determine the kind of vocabulary, the kind of sentences that you're going to be learning. Third, you don't want to learn characters. This may surprise you because you may think that you need the characters to learn Chinese, but that's absolutely not the case. You definitely want to be able to communicate, to express yourself, to understand what other people say, and ideally it would be awesome to be able to write and read. But since that is very complicated because there are so many Chinese characters, like tens of thousands, and it's really going to be very difficult for you to learn two things at the same time, my suggestion would be to focus first for a couple of years in being able to communicate, and then if you're good with the language, you can focus on characters later. So it is crucial that you focus on something that is really going to be useful for you, so you have the motivation to keep working because you're getting the results. Focus on being able to speak, being able to understand. Forget about the characters. They're not going to help you. You're going to be absolutely confused and you're going to be absolutely frustrated. Well, how can we learn Chinese without the characters? Well, if you're here, you may already know that there's one romanized alphabet in Chinese that is called pinyin. With pinyin, there's no problem at all. You can learn the whole language and you can deal with every single issue of the language just with that. 4. Forget about the pinyin tones. I get it. Every single Chinese teacher or Chinese student will tell you that if you don't learn Chinese tones correctly, you're going to die. And that is not the case. It really doesn't matter. I speak Chinese, I use the tones, but I don't really know what tones I'm using. I'm just expressing myself, trying to imitate sounds and trying to use the best pronunciation possible. This is actually pretty difficult to understand if you have never learned the tones, but I think it is as simple as the following. If I tell you 听不懂, for example, that means I don't understand. If I said that and you imitate it and it sounds close to that, you're saying the tones correctly already. Tones are there. It's just that you don't need to learn every single tone in every single word of every single sentence. No need at all. It will save you so much time that it's going to be unbelievable. 5. I recommend you to hire a teacher. I know that it is cheaper to go to an academy. You may want to do it for free online. You may think that the only thing that you need is just to go practice. But the reality is that you need a teacher. That teacher will allow you to learn exactly the things that you want, because it is not the same what you want to learn than what your classmates want to learn, right? So you will learn what you want to learn. You can ask any question. You can spend as much time as you want with something that you're struggling with. You can forget about the things that you don't want to learn. And at the end, it's going to be way cheaper, way more effective. So the best way to make the most out of the collaboration with this teacher would be to write down all the sentences that you want to say in your own language. Your teacher will translate that to Chinese with pinyin, so you are able to read those sentences. The teacher will give you the audio, so you are able to repeat the sounds, you are able to repeat those sentences. You wanted to learn how to say something, Now you know how to say it, you know how to pronounce it, and you know the way the language works behind the sentence. 6. Practice alone. I know this may sound counterintuitive, but the reality is that if you practice with other people when you're not comfortable using the language, you're going to waste other people's time, you're going to feel insecure, you're not going to want to experience that bad feeling, and then you will avoid all kinds of contacts. So my recommendation would be to first practice alone when you're in your house, in your car, when you're having a shower. Just try to say out loud every single sentence that you learned. Like repeat it like crazy until you feel comfortable using it, until your throat, your mouth, your brain got used to use it. So you say it so fast, so well, that when you go meet some Chinese person, you just say it and it works. It's like magic, because you are not going to feel insecure to say something that you have said 1,000 times. Don't try to practice when you're with other people. Just use the language with other people when you already know how to use it. 7. Learn with podcasts. You have to listen to every single podcast available. Choose the podcasts that talk about the topics you're interested in, the things that you want to be able to say, and try to look for the ones that have a transcript in Pinyin and also in English. That will allow you to understand everything, to go back and forth, and you will make the most out of it. The problem with watching films and TV series is that normally the vocabulary that they use, the language, the expressions that they use are not going to be useful for you. You're not going to be able to apply those things to your normal life or to your business or whatever you're trying to learn the language for. That means that even if you understood all the things that they're saying, they may be talking about war or action or like sci-fi things that you are definitely not going to be able to use in your common life. So again, use podcasts, listen to them every single day, try to go over all the vocabulary, try to go over the transcript over and over again, repeat them, listen to them. I recommend to you Chinese Spot. There are some others, but Chinese Spot was great. I used it every single day. And please forget about movies and TV series, because you're not going to learn almost anything. 8. Participate in every single language exchange that you can and go find opportunities to use the language. I know that you will be thinking of the possibility of living in China for a while or just looking for a shortcut that will allow you to learn it very fast. The reality is there's no shortcut available. The only thing you can do is learn as fast as you can and go practice like crazy. So go online and find every single language exchange opportunity you can have. You can go find friends on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. There are so many ways to find people to talk Chinese with. There are 1,400,000,000 Chinese in the world, okay? Just go find one or two to talk to, and maybe you can provide some value to them by teaching your language, and then think of the opportunities you may have in your own community. In every single city, there will be events and activities of Chinese, so you can join those activities and talk to them, use the language. First, practice alone. When you're comfortable, go talk to Chinese as much as you can. 9. Write down every single question that you have. Every time that you're practicing the language, you're alone, you're with other people, you get to find one of the questions, one of the problems, one of the difficulties that you stumble upon with the language. Please write that down. Okay, don't think that one question that you have or that one mistake that you make is going to go away by itself. That's not going to happen. Those mistakes, those problems, those questions will always be there. And every time you're going to try to use that sentence and you put that word there, you're going to make the same mistake. Or every time that you're going to say something that you have a question of, then you're going to be insecure, you're going to say it wrong, and it's going to be a mess. When you say something in a very bad way, you generate insecurity, and with that insecurity, you lose motivation, you lose the power to actually keep learning. So write down every single question, write down every single mistake that you make, and give that to your teacher or mentor or friend or partner, whatever. Give that to them and try to solve that problem for once and for all. Those problems will stick there until you solve them. Do not expect them to go away. And if you don't write them down, then like the next day that you have a class, the next day you talk to someone, the next day that you Google something or you look for something on the dictionary, it's going to be gone because you will not remember it. The problem is that that mistake will come out again in the future. So please write them down, ask those questions, ask those mistakes, get rid of them for once and for all. Number 10, it is never going to be perfect. You will never know everything. You will never understand all of the words of every single sentence of whatever someone says. It is very difficult to get to that point, and you will always stumble upon some topic that you don't know about, some movie that has a Chinese name and you didn't know. For example, Transformers is 变形金刚, and if you don't know that, you will be absolutely lost. Some celebrities, for example, have a different name in Chinese and in English, so you're not going to understand unless you know exactly that. China changes so fast. The growth of China is so fast that if you are not absolutely updated, there will be a lot of things, TV shows, like so many trends and so many social issues that you're not going to be familiar with. So there will always be something that you don't understand, and you have to be okay with that. So my number 10 key would be to be comfortable in an uncomfortable situation, to be comfortable in the uncertainty, to be fine with the idea of not understanding everything, to be fine with the idea of making mistakes, be fine with the idea of just saying things that make no sense whatsoever because you tried it and you tried to do what you had to do in order to communicate with them. You made a mistake, fine, they didn't understand you, okay, or you didn't understand something that they said, it doesn't matter. The most important thing that you have to understand is that if you are comfortable with not knowing some parts of what they say, but you already know them well enough to actually respond to them in a way that makes sense, then you will not have to struggle with every single word. You're not going to be able to learn everything. Trust me on this. You have to focus on the things that you want to learn in order to use the language for your own goals. Go back to all the tips that I gave to you today, because for sure will help you to learn faster than anybody else. I have been through all kinds of situations in China. I have been through all kinds of situations learning Chinese. And I gotta tell you, everybody will have their opinion, but normally the people that are giving you their opinion on Chinese, they haven't learned Chinese themselves. If you have any questions, leave them below, and I hope this video is valuable for you and that it actually helps you to learn Chinese. Subscribe to our channel, join our community to access an amazing network of professionals and the best tools and strategies to fulfill your potential and make the world a better place. Unstoppable!